Recapping what happened on the odds board, we talked about the morning line having a little extra juice in it, which added up to 135. So when we went over the projected morning line last week, and you can watch that video on my channel here, I estimated we would probably see 3, 4 horses over 80 to 1 to kind of even out some of that betting. I thought Gray Magician would go off pretty long. I had Plus Q Parfait at over 80 to 1. And I also thought Bodie Express would be about 80 to 1. Now, what I've added in is my fair line. That's under the Derbyologist column. And the way I saw the race, couple of things. It looks like, I had Maximum Security as 14 to 1 on my personal betting line. I really wasn't sure about that Florida Derby win. I thought that might have been a little track biased aided, although he did come home fast in the Florida Derby in under 36 seconds. And that's really where the difference was. His morning line was 8 to 1. He went off final odds at 4.5 to 1 and took a lot of money. He was favored most of the betting all the way until the end when Improbable went off the betting favorite. Another look at the betting shows that Gray Magician was kind of the my boy Jack of this year's betting. He went off at 34 to 1, and I just did not see that. My personal line had him at about 95 to 1. I also had Plus Q Parfait at 90 to 1. He went off half that. I did like Country House as a place show candidate, so even though I had him at 23 to 1 as a win candidate, I think you could see from some of the exacta payoffs and daily double payoffs, he was probably bet down a little bit more in exactas and trifectas than his 65 to 1 on the final odds. And yes, Country House was actually the longest shot on the board. So again, when it all shakes out, it comes out to 121 because that's with the 17.5% take. Not sure why Gray Magician was bet down. Country House, the longest shot on the board, and Plus Q Parfait and Master Fence are both at right around 58, 57 to 1. So that's a recap of the betting for this year's Derby. Again, a little bit more action on Maximum Security than I thought there would be. A little less action on Roadster. He went up to 11.5 to 1. And really, by my standards, ended off at 19 to 1. War of Will at 17 to 1. Cutting Humor got some play once Mike Smith was announced on him. I think the projected morning line of 45 to 1 on him would have held, but with the Mike Smith factor, that brought him down to 24 to 1. So the biggest effect in the betting ended up Maximum Security took all the money and, depending on your point of view, won the race or was disqualified, but either way, ran impressively. Game Winner had a little bit of a rough trip. Roadster, he got just demolished at the start. He had no chance with the way the race, after the start of the race. And then Long Range Toddy, he really got checked on the turn there when the traffic contributed. So that's a look at the Kentucky Derby 2019 betting.